Um, Hello, this is our marine habitat research project. Our area that we were sent to study was the deep, which focuses on the Mesopelagic and Bathypelagic zones of the ocean. Um, this is being presented by Anne, Jacob, Dylan, Keo, and Kaiyu.
So the oxygen and nutrient levels from the deep sea habitats are actually low compared to normal and higher habitats because of the fact that the amount of sunlight that these habitats are able to get is very minimal because it's so dark down there and it's very deep compared to being at the top of the ocean per se. And a lot of this oxygen comes from the mixing of air and water at the surface. And when all the waves crash and the water mixes around throughout the ocean, it can get lower into these deep sea habitats, and that's how they get their minimal amount of oxygen and nutrients.
So for the zone of the ocean, we have like 5 level zone of the ocean. We call like epipelagic from 0 to 200 meter, mesopelagic from 200 to 1,000 meter, bathypelagic from 1,000 to 4,000 meter, episopelagic from 4,000 to the ocean floor, and the lowest level is the deep sea trend called like hydropelagic. So the epipelagic have the animal live like plankton, dolphin, whale, jellyfish, and tuna. The organism found in this zone as surface feeder. A majority of the ocean product such as the plankton and algae occur in this zone, as this is the zone where sunlight is received the most. Uh, Mesopelagic from 200 to 1,000 meter. So the organism found is shortfish, squid, cuttlefish, whalefish. So this zone is also known as the twilight zone. In this zone, is very little sunlight penetrate. The organism exhibit bioluminescence. So the level bathypelagic from 1,000 to 4,000 meter. So the organism found it like sea onion, deep sea, octopus, and anchovies. This zone is known as the middle Nile zone, as no planet sit in this zone. The organism that inhabit this zone feed on the dirt falling from the zone above. Most of the organisms exist bioluminescent. Episopelagic zone from 4,000 meters to the ocean floor. The organism found in Pakistan, sea spider, sea pig. So in this zone, the temperature at this depth is extremely low and the pressure is very high in this region. The organism living in this zone are transparent and without eye, and there is a total lack of sunlight in this zone. Hydropelagic zone is like the deep trend zone. The organism found in the Portulifish, deep sea, coral. This is the deepest zone of the ocean. Very few living organisms survive in this zone. If they are found, they are transparent and eyeless animal. So Mesopelagic zone, the creature in the Mesopelagic zone have adapted to living in this low-light environment. Many of the species can generate light through a process known as bioluminescence. Slab would look like jellyfish are one type of such species. They communicate and attract prey by using bioluminescence. Bathypelagic zone. The bathypelagic zone is a home to a diverse array of well-adapted fish. One adaptation shared by bathypelagic predator is the presence of big pond river pointing around in a huge terminal mouth, particularly in an environment where food is scarce. Wonder not one animal to escape captain one load. Bathypelagic fish have a number of adaptations to avoid being food.
So when it comes to the deep scattering layer, it can also be referred to as the sound scattering layer. And this layer actually contains the most amount of marine animals out of any other layer. And this area right here between the deep scattering layer can be found anywhere from 300 to 500 meters during the day, and it tends to be a little less at night. What causes the oxygen minimum zones is that the oxygen saturation levels are decreased due to the visible amount of sunlight that they get throughout a day, and it causes less oxygen to be in the surrounding environments, which often relates to less animals being in that environment because of the fact that they have little to no oxygen in these environments.
Vertical migration is the movement that some organisms use to avoid predation. For example, some animals feed in the morning and some go to sleep at night. Deal migration or migration is one of the most common and important types of migration, as it is present in all bodies of water. It causes zooplankton to migrate upward to feed at night and sleep during the day. Ontogenetic migration is the type of migration that is dependent on life, sex, and biological rhythms of multiple organisms. The only ones that have been spotted or observed to have these aspects are copiopods. Seasonal migration is when zooplankton are higher up on the water column during late winter or early spring to late summer or early fall. The lower water column begins in late summer or early fall to late winter or early spring. How would you know if an organism was a vertical migrator? You can determine if an organism is a vertical migrator by its 24-hour rhythm of moving up and down in the water based on the times of day.
Okay, so photophores. A photophore is a light-emitting organ that is found in many deep-sea fishes and creatures. And bioluminescence is basically the same concept, except photophores are more specific. But bioluminescence is the production of light by a living organism. Okay, so photophores have many advantages. One of them is that it allows them to attract prey, and another is communication between organisms, which includes mating. They also find their other mates through emitting colors, and photophores also use camouflage to get away from predators. Okay, so an example of a photophore is a black sea devil anglerfish. It can grow from 1 feet to 3 feet, and it has powerful jaws. It has sharp-like teeth that is pointed inward in its mouth, so it can prevent its prey from leaving. And it's motionless in the water too, so it'll just hang around the water and wait for something. It's an ambush predator. It has a glowing rod attached to its head that attracts the prey. So when it's in the water, it's just waiting for something to get closer, and it lures it to its mouth, and then it swallows it whole and eats it. Okay, another example of a photophore is the firefly squid. And photophores are present all throughout its tentacles and the rest of its body. and its color can range from white to blue to yellow. It has tentacles and arms, and it also attracts its prey with light, just like many of the other photophores or the other creatures that contain photophores. And it uses light to change its body shape for mainly the predators, so it can get away and it can easily fool the predators.
The deep ocean has many different threats to its habitats. Some of these threats are overfishing, plastic population, the changes in the ocean's chemistry, especially due to climate change. Um, Climate change has been a huge effect on the deep because it causes the ocean's carbon dioxide levels to increase and the oxygen levels to decrease, which makes it extremely hard for fish to live and breathe within these areas. Um, Especially because it's causing carbon dioxide to almost double, making it very dangerous. Um, Ocean acidification causes the iron within the water uh, because of a higher pH level. It causes it to decrease its availability to phytoplankton, and this also relates to the nitrogen cycle because of the increased growth rates and rate of nitrogen fixation of marine cyanobacteria within an area of high carbon dioxide. Um, and the sea has been a dumping ground for waste for years, and fisheries have constantly been overfishing the sea just to try and maintain food profits. And some major affected parts of the deep ocean ecosystems would be deep sea trawling, which is usually underneath the upper bay uh, that of the continental slopes, seamounts, and canyons. And then the temperature rises within the water also makes it very hard for fish to survive when they're not used to living in certain temperatures throughout the water. One nonprofit conservation project that has stepped in to try and help protect sea life is Team Seas. Team Seas is a nonprofit conservation project formed by two major influencers, at least here in the United States. Their names are Mr. Beast and Mark Rober. They are two huge YouTube channels, and for this organization, they made it so every dollar that they raise, they guarantee to take out 1 pound of trash from the ocean and rivers and seabeds. And every dollar that they gain goes straight into conservation projects to help more ocean cleanup, make sure that fish and other sea life are well protected around the world. And one unique and interesting finding that they did was they were trying to figure out where most of the trash comes from that comes into the oceans and into the rivers. And they discovered that a lot of the trash comes from very poor communities that live really close to the ocean or to rivers because they don't have any other place to dump their trash besides either dumping it in their closest body of water or even just dumping it around their village, as you can see in the picture where they're forced to pick up village in their or trash in their villages because it gets so filled. And this is really big contribution to the trash because they don't have anywhere for their trash to go like we do. When we have trash, we get to put it in a trash can, and overnight, the garbage people will come and they'll pick up our trash. But they don't have that liberty or that they don't have that. So what they have to do is they have to get rid of it however they can, or else their lives will go to waste. That is the end of our project for the deep. We thank you for watching.
Thank you.